Alrighty.
A great welcome to you today to unleashing your full potential. I've got somebody so interesting today that is going to blow your mind. I have Nikki Marshall, and she's from Peppered Daisy. Creativity to the max. She resides in Dubai, and man, she has so much to offer. Welcome, Nikki Marshall.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. So a pleasure to be here.
I know when you and I spoke, I was blown away that you actually used your dog names to get to what you're doing. Just tell us more about that side of you. That's interesting.
So I basically, yeah, I need to use word association for everything to remember everything. I've always done that, ADHD and all those lovely things. And I also like to have meaning. I like everything to have meaning. So when I registered my company here in the UAE, it was just a natural thing to do. Yeah, very much so. So yeah, so after my dogs.
Very interesting. Well, I met you on obviously Circle Networks, where I saw you as a specialist in the area of neurodiversity. Now, please help the
Yeah.
normal guy listening in saying, what does that mean? Please explain to them. What is that?
So essentially, neurodiversity is a person who has one or more of the neurological conditions, I suppose is a word. I'm not so good with the words, I usually make them up. But so you're looking at people with ADHD, who are dyslexic, who have Asperger's, who have autism in all varying degrees. The opposite side of that would be a neurotypical person, which would be someone like yourself. It basically boils down to the executive functions that we all have, and yeah, and the struggle therein.
What
Yeah,
really
pretty much.
motivated me when I met you was how you cope with it. Because obviously, I can see that when there's a lot going on, you're just like, listen, guys, here's my answer, take it or leave it, but now don't push the envelope. And I love that about you because you're upfront and speaking about it so that people understand. Because you don't even realize it. You're busy coaching them how to deal with a person that is neurodiverse. And I love it. So explain to us that process and how you realize you need to have coping mechanisms.
I have two sons, and my oldest son Luke is neurodiverse. And when he was 7, and what I love about it, he was born in the year 2000, so I always know how old he is, which is great. So when he was 7 years old, in 2007, and in grade 1 in South Africa, he was, for us, he was clearly hyperactive and all that sort of thing. Didn't know much about it. We just knew that he was. And so we had him tested. We took him to a pediatric neurologist. We were living in East London in South Africa at the time. And, you go through all the assessments. It's not a quick thing. And it's very hard to cheat the test, which is actually awesome. And at the end of the day, they did the blind study as well with the medication. And it was amazing, in a way, because I was able to have my first conversation with him eye to eye, ever. Yeah, so we knew straight away that the meds would work because it was quite dramatic. It's not always like that. So yeah, and then his pediatric neurologist said to me, "Go and get yourself tested," and that kind of shocked me. But yeah, so I did.
Now,
There you
obviously,
go.
when you talk about medication, I'd love to
Mm.
know for those people listening in, would medication be permanent or would it be temporary in certain cases? Help us understand that part.
Very, yeah. So I'm not an advocate for medication, as in, you mustn't, each person, like you just said, everyone is different. And there are many, 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 many cases where the medication is only necessary for a couple of years, during maybe the heavy school years, the exam times. And then you get people like myself and Luke, we're permanently on the medication. And it helps us, it really does. I remember asking Luke after he'd been on the meds when he was 7, for a couple of months, and I sort of said, "What is it like? What does it do?" And he said to me, you know, Mom, it puts my thoughts in a straight line. And
Okay.
I thought that is, and then when I only started taking medication when I started working for myself in
Okay.
2010. And I remember that, and I was like, he's right. It's exactly what it does. It's
Well,
exactly what it does.
you make me think because obviously, as a platform speaker, people ask me, are you nervous? I said, of course I'm nervous, but here's the difference. I've got butterflies, but I've just taught them to fly in formation. And I somehow, it's a simulation to what Luke just said to you, Mama, it just aligns my thoughts. So, which means it's a
Yeah,
form of self-management in a sense. And it's
it is.
a temporary help in terms of medication in some cases. In other cases,
Yeah,
it is beneficial to continue the medication. Now, help me
correct.
understand when the medication is not there, that means you don't have the finances or whatever the case might be,
Yeah.
what happens? Help us understand.
So I can actually give you a very fresh perspective on that because there is a worldwide shortage of the main medication, which is Concerta at the moment. And it hit the UAE sort of February, March last year. And I was very lucky and I was still able to get throughout last year until about October, and there just wasn't any more. Now, the good thing is that the medication, it's not like taking a medication that you need to be weaned off from because it is a very quick acting in and out your body kind of meds. But I didn't have any medication, and then my kids and the dogs moved from South Africa to Dubai in January, and Luke knew that he wasn't going to be able to get the meds just right then. We were looking for a different solution, and which we have found, thank goodness. And it's when you're an adult with ADHD, the hyperactivity is not in your body as it is as a child.
Okay.
It is it's in your brain. It's in your brain. It's in your nervous system almost. And I realized that because it's like your brain is moving at like a million miles an hour.
Okay.
And you are motivated because you have really good ideas. You have some really rubbish ones as well. I mean, everybody does, but the motivation is there. But the messages from the brain to the body, and how that all those sort of your neural pathways and everything, there's a gap, and it doesn't work. So I was the most useless person for about 6 months. Yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, yeah, it's a real struggle. And
Am I
I
deducting,
don't focus on the med. Yeah,
am I
there's other
deducting
techniques as well.
correctly that it is possible that a person like you would actually be working with three or four different ideas at the same time? And somebody that knows you will know to listen and get the grasp of all four and then go back to one and finish it in the next one. Am I right in deducting that or am I incorrect?
Yes, that's actually a lovely way to put it. I love that. I'm actually going to use that. I'm not going to write it down now, but I'm going to message you later to get that back. That is a brilliant way to do it. It really is. And I've been very, very blessed with my husband, who is neurotypical, and we've been together for 24, 25 years now. And he's learned um, from me what I need without me having to say a lot of the time, which was great. And yes, that's exactly what it is. It's about I have an analogy, like a visual analogy that I use for that actually. So if you think about you have a bunch of balloons, helium balloons in your hand, like sort of maybe 20 balloons.
Yeah.
And when I'm not on the meds, and again, I'm not a medical professional. I just want to just put that out there. I'm not
Okay.
a medical professional. I've done a lot of studying with neuroscience and techniques to use. I use a lot of different techniques. You can't just rely on the meds. I don't believe in that either. A little bit helps. So, but I'm not a medical professional, so I'll talk from my own perspective. But if you have this bunch of balloons and each balloon is an idea, and some of them are good and some of them are bad and some of them are middle of the road. And when I'm not on the meds, I literally just go bump and they go like that. And what it ties in so nicely with what you just said. So he's learned to actually just reach up and just see straight away, and he pulls down a few of those. And it's like, do you want to work with a couple of them? What do you think of this one? And then I get overwhelmed, and so he just ties them up and puts them on the back of the chair, kind of thing, and they just like stay like there for a while.
You know what I
And
see in my
that's
mind? I actually see that just as they go, that he quickly grabs the red one and the red one, he puts them in one hand, and says, "Here's the yellow and the yellow," and puts them and said, "Okay, let's talk about the red one." But because he
yeah,
knows you, he now directs you, and then he gets, can I say, a
yeah,
quality answer and a quality input because he helps you to focus, in a sense.
correct, correct,
Well,
yeah,
you
yeah. It's and the neurotypical thing is he's able to make those connections between the red and the red and the yellow and the yellow really quickly, whereas a person like myself um, can't. It
okay.
takes a long time to see that. It's almost like a neurological color blindness, I guess. I don't
Well,
know.
not even having
Yeah,
met your husband, I can just hear he is a fantastic human being. And I can tell you one thing,
yeah,
a lot of other women going, "Oh, I wish my husband was so understanding." No, that's for sure. I can just hear that.
yeah,
I know, because normally, when you hear of any male figure out there that gets it right or that gets it, the women go like,
yeah,
"Oh, I wish my hubby was like that." But
yeah.
that's what's
No,
encouraging, and
he's
that is that
wonderful.
life partners can play a vital role in, can I say, completing the picture. Because you're talking
Yeah.
about the ADHD and the dyslexia, which you see in our age, I think we're a little bit more senior than most of the other people. We did not know what
Mm.
dyslexia was until we
No.
actually realized, oh, hold on, there's definitely something. I seem to be thinking backwards. I seem to be spelling backwards. I take my own wife as a prime example. She could not do
Mm.
biology because she could not spell those fancy words. They were far too long for her, far too complex. However, if she stood as a Springbok equestrian, she stood at a horse, she could tell you every single part of that horse verbally. Boom, 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 and she knew it. But write it down, forget it. Okay, because there was just no association. The letters were
Yeah.
mixed, and somebody actually thought that she had no talent. Not true.
Yeah.
She should have become a vet because she loves the dogs, she loves the animals, but the dyslexia,
Mm.
well, now we know
Yeah.
what it is, but those years we
Yes.
did not understand it.
It didn't exist, did it? It didn't
Correct.
exist. My school years were miserable, absolutely miserable. 70s and 80s, and I didn't finish school in the end. I got so frustrated, I walked out. And when Luke's pediatric neurologist said to me, "Get yourself tested," I was seriously shocked because I
Okay.
had never thought. I mean, I was in my 30s then, I think, and he said to me, "Go and Google the general life of an undiagnosed ADHD adult." So I
Okay.
did that. And oh my goodness, it was like reading my entire life. Like it should have been, "This is your life, Niki." I was really like, wow, that is something else.
But it
And
brought understanding. It brought understanding to
very
you.
much so.
Okay.
It was the start. It started, yes. And so I went and got tested, and it does take a couple of months, to get tested and things like that. It's assessments. It's not like
Yeah,
a blood test or
true.
anything. You get assessed. Um, but it changed everything. But it's taken me very long, and I'm still on the journey because, as you know, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. Sometimes you don't, but
Yeah.
but yeah. But I started to investigate because I needed to help Luke as well. Because the meds are great. Like I said, the meds help. They are not the be all and end all. They're really
Yeah.
not. They do come with their own set of problems as well. So yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
the part that I'm impressed, and the reason why I actually invited you as a guest on Unlocking Full Potential, is because when we get together as business leaders and business entrepreneurs, each with their own business, I
Mm,
can categorically tell you, you do not have to stand back 1 centimeter for anybody else because you hold your own and you are brilliant at what you do. And it really, really, it impressed me. And I thought myself, here's a person that deserves to be platformed because when I work in this category of unleashing potential, you found
mm,
your potential. But what you've done is
yeah.
you've harnessed your potential and you're channeling your potential in certain ways in order to make a contribution to society. I'm so inspired by you. I want you to know I really am inspired.
It's having be the school. So I was in, I think I was either in 9 or 11 schools. And my parents travel around. I was born in the UK, but I grew up in South Africa, so I'm South African. And different schools. And when I was never very popular at all. And by the time I hit high school, I just, I wasn't normal, and so I got picked on a lot. And it follows you as well. And the teachers, everybody did what the best that they could. In hindsight, I can see they did the best, and my parents with what they had at the time. And I mean, yeah. So, but that experience, it took me a long time to get over that. To sort of, I got told I was stupid, really, unintelligent, and all this sort of thing. And what's happened is, when and it's funny because it's when I'm in the Zooms. I love being on the Zooms, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, we should meet in person, and yes, that's great. But for me, there's no difference. I've
Yeah.
made the most amazing friends through networking, for example, via Zoom, across the world, who I would never normally meet, and there's no difference. But saying that, I'm also able to recognize in others
Mm.
when they're uncomfortable, and when they're, yeah, like me, really, so socially awkward, and all that sort of
Well,
thing. And
you
it's
know,
just, yeah, I send them
it's
private messages and say, you okay? You're doing fine. Just you're doing fine, kind of thing. It's
owning it.
just,
You're
yeah.
owning it. If I take my son actually at school was tied to a chair because he was so hyperactive that they tied him to the chair to say, "Can you just sit still?" And later in the year, somebody said, "Well, you need to go to a remedial school. You'll amount just to nothing." Yet, uh, when he came into my life, I actually just realized he is very, very bright. In fact, he had a brain that was way beyond what I can even imagine. And I started helping him harness that and said,
Yes.
let's find ways. And it's an easy solution because I actually realized that when he was studying, he would actually throw a tennis ball against the wall constantly and
Yeah,
catch it
that's a
while
good
he's
one.
while he's
Yes.
studying. And I think to myself, how the heck does he do that? And I realized
Yeah.
his solution was motion. Because remember, when he was in
Yeah.
trouble, he was on the go, on the move. And then
Yeah.
when he was in control of the motion, it changed everything. And
Yeah.
I actually
That's a good
remember,
one. Good
yeah, I remember
one. Yeah.
going to school and saying to his teacher, "Can I make a deal with you? May I ask that we
Mm.
can test something with my son? Can we allow him to have a stress ball with him? If he abuses that in any way, throws it at a child and what have you, then he must the same disciplinary procedure for everybody else. But I'm asking you, can we test this?" I believe, with what I've now seen, because he studies and throws the ball, I think if he's constantly moving, we will actually have a
Mm.
student of note. It changed his life like
You
this.
know,
It changed like this.
it yeah, it's finding it's and I believe that the same is true for neurotypical people, but it's just done in a more, and I hate the word normal, because I think the guy who actually coined the word and set the bar must be the dullest person alive. But societal, and all that sort of thing. Neurotypical people have the thing that centers them,
Hmm.
on a daily basis, whatever that may be. And for neurotypical people, I have my own things, which is a similar thing. And yes, it's the motion. It's that calm repetitiveness,
Mm, mm,
probably.
mm.
If you think about the piano, people learning to play the piano, and you've got the
Yes, yes.
it grounds into what you're doing.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a time, it's to help you keep time with, with the keys and with the notes and things like that. And if you think about your brain
Hmm.
as a musical instrument, for example, as a piano, if you don't have, and even with the meds and no meds, we just leave the meds for now. But if you don't have something that's going to let you keep in time and get a rhythm going, you can't you can't. It's so difficult to
Okay.
focus on one thing and actually see it through. And
Okay.
then yeah. So I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe ask him that. He maybe not even realize it. But I have it's like a half moon thing that I got my feet on,
Okay.
which the circulation, because I have fibromyalgia and all that. But when I'm really focusing, I turn it upside down and
Okay.
I rock on it, and I
Okay.
rock my feet on it. And that movement sends a signal to the brain
Yeah.
that we're in the
Well,
zone.
we learned from Pavlov, as you know, the Pavlovian methodology, that something that gets repeated actually
Yeah,
brings a pattern, and it's that
yeah.
pattern that actually changes, and that brings an emerging activity after that. I'd like to go to Pepper
Mm.
Daisy. What is Pepper Daisy, and what do you do?
Ooh, what do I do?
Yeah.
Usually my general retort to that, or my general answer, especially in circle zooms and things like that, is as little as possible, because I like to take things easy. But so when I'm a creative person, I'm not an artist. There is a
Okay.
difference, but
All
I
right.
am a creative person, and I love, I journal a lot, and I do all sorts of journaling. I actually have my normal notebook journal that I use on a daily basis for networking, and I, script things and script my day, and then and make notes on people, and so to help me remember. But I love the creativity. I love things that are pleasing to my eye. I need that. And I am an analog planner and journal. As much as I live online, I
Okay.
am an analog person. Yes. So when my boys were moving over here in January, now Luke he's got a relationship with a girl called Mia. And Mia is amazing. In fact, one of the circle guys, Gareth in the UK, he says that she's actually amazing, which I love that. So when they were moving over, it's a lot different here in the UAE than it is in South Africa with regards to residential visas. And Lucas, he's just turned 25, but he's still got 2 years on his degree. So he's studying 3D animation and 3D modeling and all that sort of thing. So, but he doesn't qualify for a student visa because of his age.
Okay.
And she just graduated at the end of last year, and she is an artist. She's actually a fine artist, but she also got her degree in illustration and UI UX, and she's very, very talented. So I thought to myself, we figured that we did the research, and the best way to do this for them and for me was to register a business,
Okay.
and it's a free zone business, so we can work from home and what. And so, but we've actually got a lovely working relationship. So Pepper Daisy Design Studio, the design studio part of it,
Okay.
we actually we do branding and put together like the whole branding package and we've kind of fallen into a thing. So it's solopreneurs, and funny enough, most solopreneurs that I know are kind of on the spectrum anyway. So she does that, and what I've started doing is actually building up the inside while she's concentrating on the outside of the business. I kind of wing things a lot.
But what a
So
beautiful
just,
story
yeah.
of
So that's,
what I see is this. I really see two parties
yeah,
shaking hands and
yeah,
together making a
amazing.
difference.
Oh, she's
Absolutely
lovely, and
fantastic.
she's, what, we just adore her so much, and she fits in with our mad family quite well because she's a little cuckoo too, so that's always a good thing.
So,
But
Nikki,
yeah.
anybody that now listened in today and went, wow, what an interesting person. I would love to have virtual coffee with her. How do they get hold of you? Please let them know. I will actually have it in the written part of this talk today, so they
Okay,
can actually.
well, I do have a booking link. Yeah, I have a booking link which I can send you. I love meeting new people.
Okay.
I'm probably the most successful, oh no, I'm probably the most unsuccessful successful networker in the world because I really love it. I love connecting with people. My mum said I was, networking in the pram, and I'll be, you'll all be in a
Yeah.
row, and I'll be going, right, she needs a blankie. Can I borrow that? Give that one to her and give the dummy to that one. And, it was like that. So I do have a booking link, and I actually call it a virtual cuppa. So,
Okay,
because it's a little bit of
good.
business coming. And I'm on LinkedIn. I have to update my profile, which I'm very bad at. So,
What's your
but it's
LinkedIn
there.
profile? Is that just Nikki Marshall or
It
support the
is.
baby?
It
Oh,
is.
just Nikki
Yeah,
Marshall.
it's Niki Mark.
And you spell
Yeah.
it Niki. That's it.
Yeah, it's like the South African sweetie. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you one thing. I've had fun today. I know that whoever
Oh,
listens to this is going to go, what a takeaway
yeah.
in terms of just sitting and oozing in that. You know what? There is a place for every single person on the universe, in the universe to say, I can make a
Yes.
difference. And you are one of them. And I am so extremely
Yeah.
honored that I had this time with
Oh,
you because
thank you. I'm very grateful, honestly. So
I
thank
can't
you.
wait to see how you'll work with other people and help them unlock the potential when they book that virtual cuppa with you. So,
Thank
as
you.
we end off today, what
Right.
is your final message to anybody listening out there in terms of what you want to articulate to them?
My biggest thing that I tell people is that um, everybody has a place. Everybody has a place. And when you feel like you don't belong, whether it's in a business or you're at school or you're a mom at home or whatever the case is, you just need to remember that you were born for a purpose. And some of us have big purposes and some of us have small purposes, but purpose is purpose. And you have a place and you do belong. You just need to maybe find your tribe, find your people, your peeps. And don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not good enough. That's just a message to say, right, that's not one of my peeps. That's fine. And you just walk away. Don't need
Fantastic.
them.
Well, Nikki, I'm going to end this show today by saying we are here unleashing our full potential, and all I can do is encourage you to say, be yourself. You
Be
are the
yourself.
message the world needs to hear. God bless you and
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you.